Hi everyone, my name is Haley and welcome back or welcome to my channel. My fingernail came off. Well, not my fingernail, but like my Gel X nail came off, so don't pay attention to that. And this is also a reminder of an email I need to send, so don't look at this hand, okay? But I don't know about you, but this year has gone by so fast. I don't even understand how December is almost over, and that means the end of the year and 2024. So for this week's video, I thought it would be fun to share with you guys my most anticipated 2024 releases. There are definitely a lot more that are not on my list. I could have missed some that I am excited for. This is just what I've been able to gather, and there is, I think, 47 books on this list. So it's not a small list at all. And I did my best to find shorter blurbs about what the books are about, but if I couldn't find a short blurb, I put like the whole synopsis. So some of these explanations are going to be long and some of them are going to be short, but I thought it'd just be really fun to share with you guys what I'm excited for and let you know what's coming, and you can give me some recommendations as well. So I split this list into 4 categories. We have romance, science fiction, fantasy, and mystery, thriller, horror. I kind of grouped all of those together. For science fiction and fantasy, I didn't separate young adult, so it's all just going to be together. And romance, it's all adult romance as far as I know, because I don't read young adult romance. With all of that out of the way, let's just get started. As always, I have the list on my phone, so I will be looking over here. But the first category that we will be starting with is romance, and the first book on that list is The Wedding Wish by Erin Sterling, and that is slated to come out on October 15th. This is the 3rd book in the X-Hex universe, and it's following Bowen Penhallow, so that's the brother of the guy in the first book. I haven't read the second one, but I think it's another brother as well. But following Bowen Penhallow and the girl he feels strangely drawn to, especially when she becomes his only hope of salvation after a strong spell sends them to a Yuletide celebration more than 50 years in the past. That sounds like a lot of fun. The X-Hex was more spooky / Halloween vibes. Again, I haven't read the second one, but this one seems like it's going to be perfect for Christmas, and I really want to read it when it comes out. And then next we have The Ornithologist's Field Guide to Love by India Holton, and that is coming out sometime in July. There is no exact date yet. So this one says, rival ornithologists hunt through England for a rare magical bird in this historical fantasy rom-com reminiscent of Indiana Jones but with manners, tea, and helicopter parasols. That just sounds so fun and cute. Then next we have The Art of Catching Feelings by Alicia Thompson. That is coming out on June 18th. She wrote Love in the Time of Serial Killers and With Love from Cold World. I've read half of the first book and I've read a few pages of Cold World, but I need to finish it. But this one is a sports romance and it just sounds so cute. So it says, a professional baseball player and his heckler prove that true love is worth going to bat for. So she heckled him at a game, he started crying. She felt so bad that she apologized through DMs, but she forgot to say who she was. So they start becoming friends, but he doesn't know that she was the one who was heckling him at the game. And it just sounds so cute, and I hope it's friends to enemies to lovers. I don't know. Whatever it is, I'm really excited. And then we have Play Along by Liz Tomford, and that comes out on June 11th. There is no information about this book out yet, just the date and the title, but this is the 4th book in the Windy City series, so that has Mile High, Right Move, Caught Up, and Play Along. And then we have Canadian Boyfriend by Jenny Holiday, and this comes out on January 30th. Fate brings together a ballet teacher and a hockey player in this big-hearted novel about second chances and taking risks. And so she had seen him at the Mall of America, I believe, when they were teenagers, and that was the first and last time she saw him, and she told everyone that he was her fake boyfriend, but he is from Canada, so he never knew that. But now she is going to be running into him, and she recognizes him, but he has no idea who she is. And then we have Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood, and that also comes out on June 11th. A lot of these books that I'm going to be talking about have the same release date. I'm so excited because as far as I know, we are getting 2 Ali Hazelwood releases next year, and it says, torn between loyalty and an undeniable attraction, Rue and Eli throw caution out the lab and the boardroom windows. Their affair is secret, no strings attached, and has a built-in deadline. The day one of their companies will prevail, but the heart is risky business, one that plays for keeps. So Rue is a scientist and Eli has come in with his company for a hostile takeover of her place of work, and so that is the conflict. And then we have Bride by Ali Hazelwood, and that comes out on February 6th. I'm so excited. She's never written anything paranormal, so I'm really stoked to see what it's like. But the synopsis is: a dangerous alliance between a vampire bride and an alpha werewolf becomes a love deep enough to sink your teeth into. But the vampire bride has her own reasons to agree to the marriage of convenience, reasons that have nothing to do with politics or alliances and everything to do with the only thing she's ever cared about, and she's willing to do whatever it takes to get back what's hers, even if it means a life alone in were territory, alone with the wolf. I never read werewolf romance. I do love vampires though, and I love teen wolf, so I'm super excited for this. And then the last romance book that I have on here is Funny Story by Emily Henry, and this comes out on April 23rd. Daphne and Miles hatch a plan to fake date each other, but they are each other's exes? So Daphne and Miles hatch a plan to fake date each other, but it's all just for show, of course, because there's no way Daphne would actually start her new chapter by falling in love with her ex-fiance's new fiance's ex. So Daphne, let's say, was engaged to X and Miles was engaged to Y. X and Y fall in love and break up with Daphne and Miles, and now Daphne and Miles are like, let's just post on social media and mess with their heads. So we all know where that's going. Those were all of the titles that I have for romance, and so the next section is going to be science fiction. So the first book on the science fiction list is Lost Ark Dreaming by Sui Davies Okungboa, and this comes out on May 21st. The brutally engineered class divisions of Snowpiercer meets River Solomon's The Deep, so that is what they are comparing it to. I'm pretty sure that the people in this world live like in a tower, and some of it got submerged, so like the rich people are on the top and the poor people are on the bottom, but it seems like people that were on the bottom are kind of coming for revenge, and so 3 lives within the towers are pulled to the fore of this conflict. Yakini, an earnest mid-level rookie analyst, Tuoyo, an undersea mechanic mourning a tremendous loss, and Ngozi, an egotistical bureaucrat from the highest levels of governance. They will need to work together if there is to be any hope of a future that is worth living for everyone. So I love Snowpiercer, so I think I'm going to eat this up. And then next we have Ghost Station by S.A. Barnes, and this comes out on April 9th. A crew must try to survive on an ancient abandoned planet in the latest space horror novel from S.A. Barnes. So the crew finds their pilot gruesomely murdered, and Ophelia is wondering if this is her worst nightmare starting, or a wave of violence and mental deterioration from ERS, which I think is the planet that they're on, or is it something more sinister? Terrified that history will repeat itself, Ophelia and the crew must work together to figure out what's happening, but trust is hard to come by, and the crew isn't the only one keeping secrets. I love a good mystery and I love space, so what is there not to love about this? The next one is Basilisk by Matt Wixie, and this comes out on April 2nd. A terrifying and unputdownable horror thriller novel of fiendish puzzles, compelling mysteries, and paranoia about an enigmatic hacker, a deadly online game, and a cyber weapon that makes people go insane. So it says perfect for readers of Paul Tremblay, Neil Stephenson, and Marcy Danielewski's House of Leaves, and people who just have to know the answer. This gives me Ready Player One vibes. It's not really the same, but anything that has to do with like an online game gives me Ready Player One vibes. Okay, next we have Red Sight by Meredith Mooring, and this comes out on February 27th. Corinna has simple priorities: stay on the Navitas, stay out of trouble, and stay alive. She may be a Red Seer, a blind priestess with the power to manipulate space-time, but she is the weakest in her order, useless and outcast, or so she has been raised to believe. As she takes her place as a navigator on an Imperium ship, Corinna's full destiny is revealed to her. Blood brimming with magic, she is meant to become a weapon of the Imperium and pawn for the order that raised her. But when the ship is attacked by the notorious pirate Aster Haran, Corinna's world is ripped apart. An imaginative new space opera for fans of Gideon the Ninth, filled with sapphic romance, space pirates, a blind witch, and a powerful priestess. These all just sound like so much fun. I don't read a lot of space operas, so I'm really excited to pick these up and read more. And I really want to read Gideon the Ninth as well, so I feel like I will really enjoy this. And then next we have Crypt of the Moon Spider by Nathan Ballingrid, and this comes out on August 27th. Years ago, in a cave beneath the dense forests and streams on the surface of the moon, a gargantuan spider once lived. Its silk granted its first worshippers immense faculties of power and awe. It's now 1923, and Veronica Brinkley is touching down on the moon for her intake at the Barrowfield home for treatment of the melancholy. But trouble lurks in many a mind find at this facility, and although the spider's been dead for years, its denizens are not. Someone or something is up to no good, and Veronica just might be the cause. That just sounds like so much fun, and like a science fiction horror, which I don't think I've read before, and those two genres just make so much sense together. And then we have The Tusks of Extinction by Ray Naylor. This comes out on January 16th, so I better have read The Mountain in the Sea before then, or have read it before this book comes out on paperback, so that gives me a few more months to read that. Moscow has resurrected the mammoth, but someone must teach them how to be mammoths, or they are doomed to die out again. Dr. Damira Kismatulina, an expert in elephant behavior, was brutally murdered trying to defend the world's last elephants from the brutal ivory trade. Now her digitized consciousness has been downloaded into the mind of a mammoth. As the herd's new matriarch, can Damira help fend off poachers long enough for the species to take hold? Or will her own ghost and Moscow's real reason for bringing the mammoth back doom them to a new extinction? That's just such a cool concept to me, and I'm so ready for it. A lot of these have like murders that need to be solved, so maybe I'm getting into my mystery girl era. And next we have Hum by Helen Phillips, and this comes out on August 6th. It is an extraordinary novel about a wife and mother who, after losing her job to AI, undergoes a procedure that renders her undetectable to surveillance, but at what cost? Written in taut, urgent prose, Hum is a work of speculative fiction that unflinchingly explores marriage, motherhood, and selfhood in a world compromised by global warming and dizzying technological advancement, a world of both dystopian and utopian possibilities. I really love reading sci-fi that is like climate sci-fi or a lot about artificial intelligence. I think we can learn so much from these books, even though they are technically fiction, but a lot of fiction is drawn from real life, so as scary as it is, I think it is important to read, and I'm really excited to find more books about it. And then we have The Stardust Grail by Yume Kitase, and this comes out on June 11th. This author wrote another book called The Deep Sky, and that was also a science fiction book. This says, Maya Hoshimoto was once the best art thief in the galaxy. For 10 years, she returned stolen artifacts to alien civilizations until a disastrous job forced her into hiding. Now she just wants to enjoy a quiet life as a graduate student of anthropology, but she's haunted by persistent and disturbing visions of the future. Then an old friend comes to her with a job she can't refuse. Find a powerful object that could save an alien species from extinction, except no one has seen it in living memory and they aren't the only ones hunting for it. Sounds fun! And then we have Escape Velocity by Victor Manabo, and this comes out on May 21st. A twisty new near-future genre-bending thriller, Knives Out in space with a parasite twist. Two of my favorite movies. A decades-old murder looms over the glamorous clientele of a high-end space hotel, while an unforeseen threat percolates in the service corridors. The guests are about to experience the hospitality they deserve. I love it. And then last on this list, we have Ocean's Godori by Elaine Yu Cho, and that comes out on April 23rd. Becky Chambers meets Firefly in this big-hearted Korean space opera debut about a disgraced space pilot struggling to find her place while fighting to protect the people she loves. A thrilling adventure across solar that delivers hyper-kinetic action sequences and irresistible will-they-won't-they romance, alongside its nuanced exploration of colonialism and capitalism. Ocean's Godori ultimately asks, what do we owe our past, how do we navigate our present while honoring the complicated facets of our identity, and what can our future hold? I love criticism of colonialism and capitalism, so I'm really stoked for that as well. Those are all of these sci-fi books I'm really excited for. Let me know if you have heard of them, if you're excited, and any sci-fi recommendations that you have for 2024. Okay, the next list is fantasy, and this is the longest list because it is my favorite genre. The first one we have is Dragon Rider by Taran Matharu, and this is being published on April 23rd as well. It is his adult fantasy debut, and it introduces an immersive story written in the tradition of the viral cultivation genre. Discover a rich world of magic, warriors, and dragons in which a fearless orphan and an ambitious handmaiden flee from the empire that would imprison them with a dream to return to their homelands and a determination that is unbreakable. And then next we have Of Jade and Dragons by Amber Chen, and this comes out on June 18th. Mulan meets Iron Widow in this thrilling silk punk fantasy about a girl who must disguise herself as a boy and enter the famed and dangerous Engineers Guild trials to unravel the mystery of her father's murder. I love trials and I love mysteries, so this is going to be perfect for me. And then next we have A Letter to the Luminous Deep by Sylvie Cathrall, and this comes out on April 25th. A beautiful discovery outside the window of her underwater home prompts the reclusive E to begin a correspondence with renowned scholar Henry Clell. The letters they share are filled with passion, at first for their mutual interests and then inevitably for each other. Together they uncover a mystery from the unknown depths destined to transform the underwater world they both equally fear and love. But by no mere coincidence, a seaquake destroys E's home and she and Henry vanish. A year later, E's sister Sophie and Henry's brother Viren are left to solve the mystery, piecing together the letters, sketches, and field notes left behind, and learn what their siblings' disappearance might mean for life as they know it. I'm really excited to read this because it takes place underwater, which I don't think I've read a book that takes place underwater except for like part of the Cruel Prince series, so I'm really excited for that. And then we have Feybound by Sarah L. Arifi, and this comes out on January 23rd. Two elven sisters become imprisoned in the intoxicating world of the Fae, where danger and love lie in wait. So it's going to be a trilogy, and I love anything with Fae. And then next we have A Dark and Drowning Tide by Alison Saft, and this releases on September 17th. A sharp-tongued folklorist must pair up with her academic rival to solve their mentor's murder in this lush and enthralling sapphic fantasy romance. And then we have A Tempest of Tea by Hafsa Faisal, and this comes out on February 20th. On the streets of White Roaring, Arthi Casimir is a criminal mastermind and collector of secrets. Prestigious tea room transforms into an illegal bloodhouse by night, catering to the vampires feared by society. But when her establishment is threatened, Arthi is forced to strike an unlikely deal with an alluring adversary to save it. She can't do the job alone. Calling on some of the city's most skilled outcasts, Arthi hatches a plan to infiltrate the sinister, glittering vampire society known as the Ethereum. But not everyone in her ragtag crew is on her side, and as the truth behind the heist unfolds, Arthi finds herself in the midst of a conspiracy that will threaten the world as she knows it. I never read Six of Crows, so I feel like this could be my Six of Crows. And then we have A Song to Drown Rivers by Anne Liang, and this comes out on October 1st. Inspired by the legend of Xixi, Xishi, one of the famous four beauties of ancient China, A Song to Drown Rivers is an epic historical fantasy about womanhood, war, sacrifice, and love against all odds as the fate of two kingdoms hangs in a delicate balance. And then we have To Gaze Upon Wicked Gods by Molly X. Chang, and that comes out on April 16th. She has power over death, he has power over her. When two enemies strike a dangerous bargain, will they end a war or ignite one? Daughter of a conquered world, Ru Ying hates the invaders who descended from the heavens long before she was born and defeated the magic of her people with technologies unlike anything her world had ever seen. When Ru Ying's gift is discovered by an enemy prince, he offers her an impossible deal. If she becomes his private assassin and eliminates his political rivals, her family will never starve or suffer harm again. Can Ru Ying trust this prince whose promises of a better world make her heart ache and whose smiles make her pulse beat faster? Are the evils of this agreement really in the service of a much greater good, or will she betray her entire nation by protecting those she loves the most? Sounds like a lot of very existential questions. I'm glad that I don't need to make those decisions, but I am very excited to see what happens. And then we have The Cautious Traveler's Guide to the Wastelands by Sarah Brooks, and that comes out on June 20th. For fans of Piranesi and the Midnight Library, a stunning historical fantasy novel set on a grand express train about a group of passengers on a dangerous journey across a magical landscape. And then Dancers of Dawn by Zulika Afzal, and this comes out on June 6th. Deep in the desert, under a blazing sun, an elite troupe of female dancers are trained to harness their magic. They are the queen's most formidable weapons. Asira has one of the rarest forms of magic. She is a flame wielder. Both feared and envied, she must use her power to execute enemies of the crown. On the eve of her graduation, all Asira wants is to serve her queen. But as war looms on the horizon and secrets steer in the shifting dunes, she begins to question whether she was truly born to kill. That's such an interesting premise with dancing. I feel like that's going to be really cool. And then we have Lore of the Wilds by Annalise Sabrana, and that comes out on February 27th. A stunning romantasy debut about an enchanted library, two handsome fae, and one human who brings them all together. A library with a deadly enchantment, a fae lord who wants in, and a human woman willing to risk it all for a taste of power. And then there's Fathom Folk by Eliza Chan, and this comes out on February 27th as well. Revolution is brewing in the semi-submerged city of Tiankawi between humans and the Fathom Folk who live in its waters. This gloriously imaginative debut fantasy inspired by East Asian mythology and ocean folktales is a novel of magic, rebellion, and change. And then we have The West Passage by Jared Pechacek, and this comes out on July 16th. This sounds really interesting. It says, when the guardian of the West Passage died in her bed, the women of Grey Tower fed her to the crows and went back to their chores. No successor was named as guardian, no one took up the fallen blade, the West Passage went unguarded. Now snow blankets Grey in the height of summer. Rats erupt from beneath the earth, fleeing that which comes. Crops fail, hunger looms, and none stand ready to face the beast stirring beneath the poisoned soil. The fate of all who live in the palace hangs on narrow shoulders. The too young mother of Grey House sets out to fix the seasons. The unnamed apprentice of the deceased Grey Guardian goes to warn Black Tower. Both their paths cross the West Passage, the ancient byway of the beast. On their journeys they will meet school teachers and beekeepers, miracles and monsters, and very, very big ladies. None can say if they'll reach their destinations, but one thing is for sure, the world is about to change. This gives me like Roald Dahl vibes for some reason. I don't know why, but I can just imagine like this synopsis being like a Roald Dahl cover with his art style and stuff like that. That just sounds so interesting. Really excited for that. And then we have The Fireborn Blade by Charlotte Bond, and that comes out on May 28th. Madelay is a knight. There aren't many women in her line of work, and it often feels like the sneering and contempt from her peers is harder to stomach than the actual dragon slaying. But she's a knight and made of sterner stuff. A minor infraction forces her to redeem her honor in the most dramatic way possible. She must retrieve the fabled Fireborn Blade from its keeper, legendary dragon, the White Lady, or die trying. If history tells us anything, it's that die trying is where to wager your coin. And then Leigh Bardugo is coming out with a new book called The Familiar on April 9th. Honestly, I don't even know how to condense this synopsis, so I'll just read what it says. In a shabby house on a shabby street in the new capital of Madrid, Lucia Cotado uses scraps of magic to get through her days of endless toil as a scullion. But when her scheming mistress discovers the lump of a servant cowering in the kitchen is actually hiding a talent for little miracles, she demands Lucia use those gifts to better her family's social position. Determined to seize this one chance to better her fortunes, Lucia plunges into a world of seers and alchemists, holy men and hucksters, where the lines between magic, science, and fraud are never certain. But as her notoriety grows, so does the danger that her Jewish blood will doom her to the Inquisition's wrath. She will have to use every bit of her wit and will to survive, even if that means enlisting the help of Julian Santangel, an embittered immortal familiar whose own secrets could prove deadly for them both. And then there is The Dead Cat Tail Assassins by P. Jelly Clark, and this comes out on April 23rd. Aveen the Eviscerator is skilled, discreet, professional, and here for your most pressing needs in the ancient city of Tal Abisi. Her guild is strong, her blades are sharp, and her rules are simple. Those sworn to the matron of assassins, resurrected, deadly, wiped of their memories, have only 3 unbreakable vows. First, the contract must be just. That's above Aveen's pay grade. Second, even the most powerful assassin may only kill the contracted. Aveen's a professional. She's never missed her mark. The third and the simplest, once you accept a job, you must carry it out, and if you stray, a final death would be a mercy. When the festival of the Clockwork King turns the city upside down, Aveen's newest mission brings her face to face with a past she isn't supposed to remember and a vow she can't forget. Oh, that sounds so good! I'm so excited for that. And then there is A Vicious Game by Melissa Blair coming out on February 6th, and that is the 3rd installment of the Halfling saga, so that is A Broken Blade, A Shadow Crown. Read A Broken Blade. I have a Shadow Crown. I want to reread A Broken Blade so I can read Shadow Crown, so perhaps I will do that in February so that I can get the new one when it comes out. I don't know what it's about because I don't want any spoilers. And then we also have The Prisoner's Throne by Holly Black that comes out on March 5th, and this is the sequel to The Stolen Heir, which is another book in the Cruel Prince universe, the Folk in the Air series. So I also need to read The Stolen Heir, which I think I want to do like a reading vlog on, so let me know if you'd like to see that. And then we have Draw Down the Moon by PC Cast, and that comes out on April 2nd. Wren Nightingale isn't supposed to have any elemental powers. Born of magical parents but not under one of the 4 fated astrological full moons, she is destined for life as a mundane, right up until she starts glowing on her 18th birthday. In a heartbeat, Wren's life is turned upside down and she's suddenly leaving her home for the mystical Academia de la Luna, a secret magical school on a hidden island off the Seattle coast. Lee Young has always known about his future at the academy. He has 3 goals: pass the trials, impress the Moon Council, and uphold his family's reputation. But he wasn't expecting to be attending alongside the girl he's been secretly in love with for as long as he can remember. As Ren and Lee are thrown into the academy's grueling trials, they quickly learn there's something different and dangerous about the school this year. Ren will have to navigate a web of secrets, prophecies, and murder, and Lee will have to decide what to protect: his family's legacy or the girl he loves. Why does it always have to be a choice? And then the last book on this list is A Fate Inked in Blood by Danielle L. Jensen, and that comes out on February 27th. She is also the author of the Bridge Kingdom series. A shield maiden blessed by the gods battles to unite a nation under a power-hungry king while fighting her growing desire for his fiery son, in the first book of a Norse-inspired fantasy romance series. So enemies to lovers, maybe forbidden romance. I am obsessed already, and I really love Norse mythology, so I don't know if it's Norse mythology exactly or just inspired by other things, but I'm really excited for that. Those were all of the fantasy books that I'm excited for this year or next year. I hope I didn't talk your ear off, but we are at the last category, which is mystery, thriller, horror, and there's a lot of good books in this category, I think, so let me just dive into it. So the first one that we have is The Last Murder at the End of the World by Stuart Turton, and this comes out on May 21st. He also wrote The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. Outside the island there is nothing. The world was destroyed by a fog that swept the planet, killing anyone it touched. On the island it is idyllic. 122 villagers and 3 scientists living in peaceful harmony. The villagers are content to fish, farm, and feast, to obey their nightly curfew, to do what they're told by the scientists. Until, to the horror of the islanders, one of their beloved scientists is found brutally stabbed to death. And then they learn that the murder has triggered a lowering of the security system around the island, the only thing that was keeping the fog at bay. If the murder isn't solved within 92 hours, the fog will smother the island and everyone on it. But the security system has also wiped everyone's memories of exactly what happened the night before, which means that someone on the island is a murderer, and they don't even know it, and the clock is ticking. Imagine having every single thing against you when you're trying to survive. Next we have Middle of the Night by Riley Sager, and this comes out on June 18th. A man must contend with the long-ago disappearance of his childhood best friend and the dark secrets lurking just beyond the safe confines of his picture-perfect neighborhood. I haven't read any Riley Sager yet. I keep saying I want to, but I haven't. But I'm still excited for this, even if I don't read it when it comes out. And then we have The Fury by Alex Michaelides, and this comes out on January 16th. A masterfully paced thriller about a reclusive ex-movie star and her famous friends whose spontaneous trip to a Greek island is upended by a murder. And then we have Youth Juice by E.K. Sathu. That comes out on June 4th. So it says American Psycho meets Devil Wears Prada, outrageous body horror for the goop generation. A bloodthirsty copywriter realizes that beauty is possible at a terrible cost in the surreal satirical send-up of a New York City it-girl culture. Glittering with ominous flashes of Sophia's coming-of-age story, former beauty editor E.K. Sathu's horror debut is as incisive as it is stomach-churning in its portrayal of all-consuming female friendship and the beauty industry's short attention span. Youth Juice does to skincare influencers what Bret Easton Ellis did to yuppies. You'll never moisturize the same way again. But I'm really excited to read this. I think it's going to be like really funny and really interesting at the same time. And then there is The Eyes Are the Best Part by Monica Kim, and this comes out on July 4th. Crying in H Mart meets My Sister the Serial Killer in this feminist psychological horror about the making of a female serial killer from a Korean American perspective. A brilliantly inventive, subversive novel about a young woman unraveling, Monica Kim's The Eyes Are the Best Part is a story of a family falling apart and trying to find their way back to each other, marking a bold new voice in horror that will leave readers mesmerized and craving more. And the cover for this is really cool. I'm sure it's on the screen here, but like with the chopsticks and the eye on it. Obsessed. And then there is The Building That Wasn't by Abigail Miles, and this comes out on July 16th. When Evelyn Tertium encounters a strange man in the park claiming to be her grandfather, she is invited to visit a mysterious apartment building. There she finds herself in a constant state of deja vu, impossibly certain that she's already lived through these moments, already been introduced to these people, and already visited all of these rooms and floors. So why does she have no idea what's happening to her? The longer she stays in the building, the more Everly becomes convinced that there is more going on than meets the eye. Something is off, time seems to pass differently, and the people living there seem trapped. Slowly, Everly begins to wonder if she is trapped too, but would she even want to leave if she could? And then we have The Reappearance of Rachel Price by Holly Jackson, and that comes out on April 2nd. She is most known for the Good Girl's Guide to Murder series, a true crime-fueled mystery thriller about a girl determined to uncover the shocking truth about her mother's disappearance while filming a documentary on the unsolved case. I hope it has more of the like transcripts and other writing formats in the book like they had it in A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, because I loved that aspect of the book. So it would be really cool if we had transcripts or like little vignettes of the movie. I would love that. And then we have The Invocations by Crystal Sutherland, and this comes out on January 30th. Zara Jones believes in magic because the alternative is too painful to consider, that her murdered sister is gone forever and there's nothing she can do about it. Jude Wolfe may be the daughter of a billionaire, but she is also undeniably cursed. After a deal with the demon went horribly wrong, her soul has been slowly turning necrotic. Enter Emma Byrne, an orphaned witch with a dark past and a deadly power, aka the solution to both Zara's and Jude's problems. Though Emma lives a hardscrabble life, she gives away her most valuable asset, her invocations, to women in desperate situations who are willing to sacrifice a piece of their soul in exchange for a scrap of power. When Emma's clients start turning up dead all over London, a vital clue leads Zara and Jude right to her. If a serial killer is targeting her clients, Emma wants to know why and to stop them. She strikes a tenuous alliance with Zara and Jude to hunt a killer before they are next on his list, even if she can't give them in return what Zara and Jude want most, a sister and a soul. I really loved, I think she wrote House of Hollow. I really love that book, so I'm really excited to read this. And then the last book on this list is Your Shadow Half Remains by Sunny Moraine, and this comes out on February 6th. Riley has not seen a single human face in longer than she can reckon. No faces, no eyes, not if you want to survive. But when a new neighbor moves in down the road, Riley's overwhelming need for human contact makes her throw caution to the wind. Somehow, in this world where other people can mean a gruesome, bloody death, Ellis makes her feel safe. As they grow closer, Riley's grip on reality begins to slip, and she can no longer fight her deepest desires. All Riley wants to do is look. Kind of gives Bird Box vibes. Those were all of the books that I had on my list. I know it was a lot. I hope I didn't bore you too much or talk your ear off. There are just so many good books coming out next year, and I'm usually kind of behind on new releases, so I wanted to do my research and be fully informed and then help you guys be fully informed. I don't know which one I'm most excited for. Let me pick one off of each list and see which one I'm the most excited for. So off of the mystery thriller horror, I think I'm most excited for Youth Juice. And then for fantasy, I think I might be the most excited for The West Passage. Sounds really good to me. I feel like that's going to be really interesting and fun, so I'm really excited for that one. And then for the science fiction, I think Basilisk sounds really cool, so definitely excited for that. And then for romance, I've gotta say Bride, because it's a new genre for Ali Hazelwood. Not in Love I'm super excited for, but Bride is just gonna be like so interesting and so new, so I think that one takes the cake. But if you have any of your most anticipated 2024 releases that weren't on here, please comment them down below, and if they were on here, let me know which ones they were. I'm super excited for the new year, and I hope you guys are as well. If you are going out and having fun, please make sure to stay safe and be careful. But if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, like, subscribe, all of that stuff. I hope you are all staying safe and healthy, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!